The U.S. horizon moved quietly through deep space like a silver arrow cutting through darkness. The ship was large, strong, and built for long missions far away from Earth. Inside the bridge, the air felt calm and steady. Soft blue lights glowed across the control panels, and the quiet hum of the engines filled the room like a gentle heartbeat. Captain Mark Goodwin sat in the command chair, straight-backed, calm, and focused. He had been in space for many years, and this mission felt easier than most. No strange signals. No pirates. No unknown enemies. Just peaceful, empty space stretching in every direction. The crew worked around him with relaxed confidence. Lieutenant Rodriguez tapped gently on her console at the communication station. Ensign Chin checked navigation, occasionally glancing at the star map. Commander Harris stood behind Mark, holding a small tablet with mission details. For a long moment, everything felt safe. Mark looked at the starfield on the main screen. Bright dots, faraway suns, and endless black void. The horizon seemed peaceful, almost beautiful. "It's been quiet today," Harris said, trying to hide a smile. Mark nodded. "Quiet is good. Quiet means we are doing our job right." Rodriguez stretched her arms. "Honestly, sir, this is the calmest deep space trip I've ever been on." Mark leaned back slightly. "Enjoy it. Calm never lasts forever out here." The bridge crew laughed lightly, but there was truth in his words. In deep space, peace was never guaranteed. Anything could happen. New species, dangerous anomalies, lost ships, strange signals, even enemies hiding behind stars. But today felt different. Today felt safe. Hours passed. The horizon glided gently forward, engines whispering in the dark. The crew rotated shifts, checked systems, and kept everything running smoothly. It was the kind of day every space captain wished for. Mark took a moment to stand and stretch. He walked over to the view screen and studied the stars. He didn't know why, but something felt strange. Not danger, not fear, just a small pressure in the back of his mind, like the universe was holding its breath. Harris noticed him staring. "Something wrong, Captain?" Mark shook his head lightly. "Probably nothing. Just a feeling." "Want me to run another scan?" Harris asked. "You're not thinking logically," Mark said with a small smile. "I didn't detect anything. My gut did." Harris smirked. "Your gut has saved us before." Mark turned back to his chair. "Let's keep everything normal for now." But the feeling didn't go away. A few minutes later, Rodriguez frowned at her screen. "That's odd." Mark looked up. "Report. I'm picking up something. A signal maybe? But it's extremely weak." She leaned closer to the screen. "It's at coordinates 227 Mark 389. Chin swiveled her chair. "No known satellites or probes in that direction." Harris opened a new window on his tablet. "Could be distant background noise. Deep space has plenty of weird radio waves." Rodriguez shook her head. "No, this is too organized to be random. It's repeating. It almost looks like a pattern." Mark stepped toward her station. "Let me see." The signal appeared on her monitor, soft, pulsing waves of blue and white. Weak but undeniably structured. "What do you think?" Mark asked. "I don't know, sir," Rodriguez said. "It's not human. Not any known Federation species either." Harris stepped forward. "Could be a distress call?" "No," Rodriguez said firmly. "The structure is wrong for a distress signal." Mark put a hand on the console. "Could it be a ship?" "Possible. Or a device. Or," she hesitated, "something we've never seen before." Mark straightened. The air on the bridge shifted slightly, lighter at first, then heavier, as if everyone sensed the same invisible warning in the silence. "Run a deep scan," Mark ordered. Rodriguez began typing quickly. "Scanning." Chin zoomed into the coordinates. The star map shifted and narrowed in on a distant point of space. Rodriguez's eyes widened. "Sir, the signal changed." "Changed how?" "It's no longer weak. It's getting stronger." The lights dimmed as the sensors powered up. Then the signal doubled. Then tripled. Chin whispered, "That's impossible." Harris stepped closer. "Is something moving toward us?" Rodriguez swallowed. "No, the signal isn't coming toward us." She turned slowly toward Mark. "It's already here." A cold silence fell over the bridge. Mark froze. "Rodriguez, what do you mean?" Her voice shook just a little. "The signal isn't traveling across space. It just appeared. Like it came out of nowhere." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Mark's heartbeat picked up. That strange feeling in his chest grew stronger. "Try to identify it," he ordered quickly. Rodriguez frowned at the readings. "It doesn't match anything. No human ships. No alien ships we know. No natural phenomenon. Do we have a visual? Mark asked. No, sir, Chin said. Nothing on the screen. Rodriguez leaned back in her chair. Captain, this isn't a signal we discovered. Mark looked sharply at her. Explain. Her voice dropped to a whisper. It's a signal that discovered us. The bridge temperature felt colder, even though the air system had not changed. Mark took a breath. The calm day was over. He straightened, eyes sharp, voice steady. All stations, he said quietly. Stay alert. Because the horizon was no longer alone. The moment Rodriguez spoke those words, the signal discovered us. A heavy silence fell across the bridge. It felt as if the entire ship exhaled at once. Even the engines seemed quieter, like something outside was listening. Captain Mark Goodwin stepped back to his chair slowly. All right, he said, voice steady. If something is out there, we need eyes on it. Chin, try again. Any visual contact? Chin shook her head. Negative, sir. The forward cameras show only empty space. Mark narrowed his eyes. Run a wide sweep, full 360. Chin tapped quickly. Running sweep now. It will take. She froze, staring at the reading. Rodriguez inhaled sharply. Harris stepped closer. Mark felt his stomach tighten. What is it? Chin swallowed. Sir, the cameras aren't malfunctioning. There is nothing there. No ships. No movement. But what? Rodriguez turned her screen toward Mark. The signal is now surrounding us. Mark stared at the circular pattern on her monitor. The signal wasn't coming from one direction anymore. It wrapped around the horizon like a cage of invisible energy. Shields up, Mark ordered. Shields to maximum, Harris confirmed. A soft blue glow flickered across the hull as the shield system activated. For a moment, everything was still. Then, bang. The entire ship jolted like something massive had slammed into it. Chin gasped as her chair slid 2 inches across the floor. Sparks flew from the ceiling. Several consoles blinked and flashed red warnings. What was that? Rodriguez shouted. Harris checked his panel. No impact detected, nothing touched us. Mark felt the floor vibrating under his boots. Gravity shockwave, he said quietly. Something hit us with raw force. A second shockwave hit. Boom. This time harder. The bridge tilted. Mark grabbed the side rail to stay upright. The lights flickered. Chin's console sparked again. Shields dropping to 72%. Harris shouted. Rodriguez leaned toward her screen. Sir, signal is changing again, it's forming shapes. Chin's heart pounded as she redirected the cameras. And then, finally, they saw it. 5 ships appeared on the screen, each one shaped like liquid metal. They didn't fade in, they materialized out of thin space, bending the stars around them like ripples on water. They were fast, slick, silent. Their silver bodies shined like blades in dim starlight. They just appeared, Chin whispered. Mark stared at them. No cloak, no warp signature, no engine trail. They weren't coming toward us. Rodriguez finished the thought. They were already here. Invisible. The alien ships moved smoothly into a perfect pentagram formation surrounding the horizon. They're locking onto us. Rodriguez yelled. Try hailing them. Mark ordered. Open a channel. Rodriguez tapped rapidly. Channel open, broadcasting peaceful message. She didn't get to finish. The first alien shot fired. Croc. A massive beam of blue-white energy struck the horizon's starboard shields. The entire ship screamed as metal plates strained against the blast. Direct hit. Harris cried. Shields down to 39%. That shot wasn't plasma, it was gravity compression. Mark shouted, evasive pattern Delta 6. Chin pulled the controls sharply. The horizon swung left, engines roaring. But the alien ships moved like they were made of air. They didn't chase, their formation moved with perfect timing, tightening around the horizon like a metal trap. A second beam hit. Boom. The bridge shook violently. Mark was thrown forward, but the safety harness caught him mid-fall. Rodriguez flew sideways into her console. Harris grabbed the wall to keep from collapsing. Alarms blared. Fire control systems activated, releasing bursts of mist onto sparking panels. Reactor pressure rising. Harris shouted. Engineering reports structural damage on Deck 7. Weapons are charging too slow. Chin yelled. Something is interfering with the power grid. Rodriguez looked pale. Captain, they're scanning us deeply. It feels like they're reading every part of the ship. Mark's voice hardened. Weapons, open fire. Chen activated the rail cannons and launched a spread of charged projectiles at the nearest alien ship. But the projectiles never reached their target. They bent sideways mid-flight, curving like they were pulled by invisible hands, and dissolved into dust. "They're using gravitational distortion," Harris said. "Our weapons can't get close." The alien ships began to glow. Rodriguez screamed, "Sir, they're charging again." Mark gripped the armrest. "Brace." The third hit came. Xuzramo. The horizon buckled. The lights went out for a full second. Metal groaned. A massive support beam snapped above Rodriguez's station and crashed to the floor inches from her head. "Main reactor is destabilizing," she cried. "Engineering says they can't hold containment much longer." Mark wiped blood from his forehead and forced himself to remain steady. Chin yelled over the alarms, "Shields at 9%, one more hit and we're done. Divert all power to maneuvering." Mark ordered. "Break the formation." Chin pushed the engines to full. The horizon lurched forward, shaking violently as if fighting against a giant pulling it backward. For a moment, just a short moment, it looked like they might slip through a gap in the formation. Then the fourth shot hit. It wasn't just light. It wasn't fire. It was an energy wave that dissolved matter. It washed across the horizon like a storm. Panels ripped from walls. Consoles burst into sparks. Sound vanished for half a second as atmosphere shook inside the ship. Rodriguez screamed as she was thrown to the ground. Harris grabbed the nearest railing. Chin fell from her chair. Mark felt his lungs tighten. His vision blurred. "Captain?" Harris shouted. We can't take another hit." But the aliens weren't firing again. No. They were preparing something else. Rodriguez's monitor blinked with a new warning. She gasped. "Captain, the aliens are projecting some kind of field onto the horizon." Mark turned sharply. "What kind of field?" Her voice broke. "Boarding field." The bridge lights flickered again. A strange, shimmering glow filled the air, soft at first, then bright enough to blind. Mark felt his body vibrate like every atom was being pulled apart and counted. "Captain?" Harris yelled. Mark tried to stand but his legs felt weak. His vision turned white. The last thing he saw was his crew dissolving into particles of glowing light. Then everything went dark. For a long moment there was nothing. No sound. No pain. No light. Mark Goodwin floated in empty darkness, unable to breathe, unable to move. It felt as if he wasn't inside a body anymore, just awareness trapped in a cold, hollow space. Then, slowly he felt gravity return. A floor. A breath. A heartbeat. Mark gasped and opened his eyes. He wasn't on the horizon. He stood inside a strange, circular chamber made of smooth black metal. The walls shimmered like liquid glass, changing color in slow ripples, blue, silver, then dark purple. The air felt heavy like he was deep underwater. But it was breathable. "Captain?" He turned quickly. Harris was there, sitting on the ground, shaking his head as if waking from a nightmare. Rodriguez was beside him, trying to stand. Chin lay on her side but breathing. They were all alive. "Crew status." Mark forced his voice to be calm. Rodriguez touched her head. "Dizzy, but okay." Harris checked his arms, then looked around with wide eyes. "We're not on the horizon. We must be inside one of their ships." Chin slowly stood up, gripping her chair like restraint. "Everything feels strange, like the air is buzzing." Mark agreed. The air almost vibrated, filled with some kind of energy. Then he noticed something else. They weren't alone. At the far end of the chamber stood a tall, shimmering shape. Not metal. Not flesh. Something in between. Its body looked like flowing liquid silver wrapped around a hidden skeleton of blue light. It had no face, only a smooth surface that reflected dim shapes. Rodriguez whispered, "Is that one of them?" No one answered. The creature stepped forward, moving silently, each step smooth like water shifting across glass. As it came closer, the room pulsed with soft blue light. Harris raised his hands defensively. "Captain?" Mark lifted a hand meaning, "Stay calm." "Don't move," he said quietly. The alien stopped about 6 feet away. Its surface rippled, then opened in a circle across its chest. A holographic image flickered into the air. A map. A star cluster Mark didn't recognize, spinning slowly. Then the creature, or machine, spoke. Its voice wasn't a normal voice. It echoed inside their heads, cold and metallic, like 1,000 whispers merging into one. "Human. Identify." Everyone froze. Mark stepped forward. I am Captain Mark Goodwin of the Starship Horizon. The creature tilted as if studying him. Purpose? Mark tried to keep his voice steady. We came to explore the unknown region. We detected a signal. We followed it. The alien's body shimmered violently as if reacting to the word signal. Chin leaned close to Rodriguez and whispered, "It understands us, somehow." Rodriguez whispered back, "It's using telepathic translation." The creature's voice returned. The signal was not for humans. Mark felt the tension rise. If we crossed a boundary or disturbed something, we are willing to talk, peacefully. The alien took another step, making the floor pulse under their feet. Human vessels entered forbidden zone. Humans opened the signal seal. Humans activated the beacon. Mark frowned. Beacon? What beacon? Harris swallowed. Sir. That signal we followed, maybe it wasn't a message. Maybe it was a lock. The alien's chest opened again, showing new holograms. This time, the horizon trapped inside the five-ship formation. The beams hitting its shields. Energy wrapping around the ship. Then the boarding field. Human ship survives more than predicted. Human resistance is unexpected. Rodriguez whispered, "They didn't expect us to live." The alien turned directly toward Mark, its smooth face forming a faint ripple, almost like an eye opening. "You are different." Mark felt a cold chill run through him. Different how? The alien didn't answer. Instead, its entire body brightened, flashing brilliant silver blue. A beam of soft light scanned across Mark from head to toe. His skin tingled as if tiny needles pricked every cell. "Captain?" Chin tried to run forward, but an invisible force held her back. Rodriguez grabbed her arm. The light faded. The alien stepped back. "You carry a code." Mark blinked. "A code? What code?" Its voice grew louder, echoing deeper inside their minds. "A human anomaly. A genetic variance that should not exist. A key." Mark felt the hairs rise on his neck. A key to what? Silence. The walls of the chamber suddenly shifted, turning from smooth metal to transparent windows. Outside, Mark's breath caught. They were in a massive alien hangar the size of a small city. Thousands of liquid silver machines moved across platforms. Giant pillars of energy shot upward into an endless ceiling. And in the distance, he saw another ship. One identical to the horizon. But not human-built. Chin gasped, "Sir, is that?" Harris whispered, "A copy. They replicated our ship." Rodriguez's eyes widened in fear. Why would they build a copy of the horizon? Before anyone could speak, the alien stepped between them and the window. Its voice came again, deeper and colder than before. "Humans were not meant to find the beacon. But now that you have." The walls shifted again, closing them inside the dark chamber. Only a single pale blue circle appeared on the floor beneath Mark's feet. The alien's voice echoed. "You, Captain Mark Goodwin, will open what your kind closed." The floor beneath him glowed brighter. Too bright. Harris yelled, "Captain." Rodriguez reached for him. Chin screamed. But Mark felt his body freeze again, locked in place by invisible energy. The alien stepped closer. "You will activate the gate." Light swallowed everything. Mark Goodwin's world became white light, sharp, burning, endless. His ears rang loudly like metal scraping against metal. He felt his body stretch, twist, and fold all at the same time. Then, thump. He hit the ground hard. The light vanished. Mark gasped and rolled onto his hands, coughing. The floor beneath him felt cold and smooth like polished stone. When he finally lifted his head, he found himself standing in a new chamber, bigger, darker, and more ancient-looking than the last one. The air smelled old, like forgotten dust and metal that had not moved for 1,000 years. "Captain?" Mark turned sharply. Rodriguez, Chin, and Harris appeared one by one, each materializing through a ripple of light. They stumbled, dizzy from the transport. Rodriguez helped Chin stand. "Sir, where are we now?" Mark took a slow breath. Inside the alien ship, but deeper. Somewhere important. The chamber around them was circular and massive, like the inside of a hollow planet. Strange runes covered the walls, symbols that glowed faintly in blue, pulsing like a heartbeat. Harris walked forward cautiously. "These markings, they're old. Much older than the ships we saw in the hangar." Rodriguez agreed. "Maybe thousands of years old." Chin shivered. "So the aliens aren't the ones who built this place?" Mark didn't answer. He wasn't sure. At the far end of the chamber, something stood in silence. A giant metallic ring. A structure almost 30 meters tall. Circular. Perfect. Floating above the ground without support. It spun slowly, but there was no sound, not even a soft hum. It was like a silent moon. Chin whispered, "Sir, is that the gate?" Before Mark could reply, the same liquid metal alien appeared behind them. Its presence made the air vibrate again. Rodriguez flinched. Hera stepped back. Chin bit her lip nervously. Mark stood tall. "What do you want with us? Why bring us here?" The alien didn't look at him. Instead, its chest opened again, projecting holographic images into the air. Stars. Galaxies. A map of something vast. Then a massive empty circle in the center, like a black void. Its voice filled the chamber. The gate connects the old paths. Long closed. Long forgotten. Mark stared at the giant ring. "You want me to open it?" The alien finally turned toward him. "Only the human anomaly can activate the gate." Rodriguez whispered to Harris, "Human anomaly, they mean the code they scanned inside the captain." Harris nodded slowly. "Some genetic marker he carries." Chin frowned. "But why him? Why only him?" The alien continued. "Humans were created with many paths. Most paths are closed. One human carries the key. You." Mark stepped forward, his voice sharp. "I don't understand. What does this gate lead to?" The alien's answer was simple. "Beyond the stars. Beyond the void. To what sleeps." Chen's eyes widened. "Something is sleeping on the other side?" Rodriguez whispered, "Or something we don't want to wake." The alien raised its arm. The giant ring at the end of the chamber responded. The runes on the walls brightened. The floor shook softly. A deep rumble echoed across the chamber, far away but growing louder. Harris whispered, "The gate, it's waking up." The ring began to spin faster. A blue spark appeared in the center, small at first like a candle flame. Mark felt a strange pull in his chest. The spark grew, brightened, twisted. Then it formed a swirling vortex. A portal. A hole in reality. Rodriguez took a step back. "Captain, we don't know what's inside there." Chin grabbed Mark's arm. "Sir, they're using you. We need to stop this." Harris looked at the alien. "Why open this gate? What's the purpose?" The alien finally faced them again. "The beacon was created to warn the builders. A threat sleeps beyond the dark. Humans touched the beacon. Humans must complete the cycle." Mark tried to make sense of it. "You mean, we triggered something? Like an alarm?" "Yes." Rodriguez swallowed nervously. "Sir, I have a very bad feeling about this." The vortex grew brighter, swirling violently now. Wind whipped across the chamber, pulling at their clothes. Chin screamed, "The gate is pulling energy from the air." Harris shielded his face. "It's unstable." Mark felt the pull inside his chest grow even stronger. He staggered forward, unwillingly drawn toward the gate like a magnet. "Captain?" Rodriguez grabbed his arm, trying to pull him back. The alien raised its hand. An invisible force shoved Rodriguez away. She hit the ground hard. "Enough!" Mark yelled at the creature. "If this gate opens something dangerous, why help us open it?" The alien's surface rippled. "Because danger approaches from both sides. You must choose which side survives." Chin shook her head. "This makes no sense." Why humans?" The alien's answer sent chills through the room. "Because humans were made for war. And something beyond the gate remembers that." The vortex roared. Wind tore across the floor. Lights in the runes flickered intensely. Panels shook. Pieces of dust floated upward as gravity twisted. Mark's body lifted off the ground slightly, floating weightless. His crew panicked. "Captain?" Rodriguez screamed. Chin held onto a pillar, tears in her eyes. Harris tried pulling Mark back, but the force was too strong. The alien stepped closer to Mark. "Enter the gate. Awaken what sleeps. Complete the cycle." Mark struggled to breathe, the pull stronger than anything he had felt before. The vortex's roar grew louder, almost a scream. Rodriguez shouted, "Mark? Fight it. Don't go in." Chin cried out, "Please, Captain." But Mark's feet left the ground. His body drifted toward the swirling portal. He reached out, desperately grabbing at the air. Harris yelled, "Sir, hold on." The alien watched silently, like this was destiny. Mark's hand broke the edge of the vortex, and light swallowed his arm. Pain shot through his body. His vision flashed white. The crew screamed his name. Then, Mark was pulled inside. The gate closed behind him with a thunderous echo, and the chamber went silent. Mark Goodwin felt as if he was falling through a tunnel of light that had no end. There was no up or down. No air. No sound. Only a powerful force pulling him forward faster and faster. Then, slam. He hit solid ground. For several seconds Mark lay there, gasping, shaking, feeling his heartbeat pounding inside his ears. The air here was cold, sharp like winter wind. Slowly he pushed himself up. He expected darkness. Instead, he saw a strange landscape stretching far beyond the horizon. A sky with two moons. A ground covered in black stone. Shining rivers of blue energy flowing like liquid lightning through cracks. The entire world looked dead. Silent. Frozen in time. Mark stood up and took a slow breath. Where am I? Behind him, the gate hovered in the air like a giant circle of light, slowly spinning. But it was smaller now, only large enough for a human to fit through. It looked fragile, like it might vanish at any moment. He reached out to touch it. Shuck. A burst of energy pushed his hand back. The gate flickered. Mark stepped away. Great. I'm trapped. He turned around again, scanning the silent landscape. Everything was lifeless. No wind. No movement. Not even a sound. Then he saw something in the distance. A tower. Tall. Thin. Made of black metal and glowing blue cracks. Something about it felt familiar, almost like the markings inside the alien ship. Mark took a deep breath. If there are answers, they're there. He started walking. The ground crunched under his boots like shattered glass. The air hummed softly, filled with strange vibrations. As he walked closer to the tower, he noticed symbols engraved into the landscape, huge ancient carvings running for miles. He knelt and touched one. Warm. Pulsing. Alive. Captain Mark Goodwin. Mark froze. The voice came from behind him, deep, calm, and human. He spun around instantly, fists ready. Someone stood near the gate. A man. Tall. Dark hair. Uniform torn and dirty. A symbol on his chest, the old Earth exploration badge used more than 150 years ago. Mark stepped forward carefully. Identify yourself. The man smiled sadly. Captain Elias Ward. Starship Nova Horizon. Expedition Unit 12. Mark frowned. That's impossible. The Nova Horizon disappeared a century ago. I know, the man said. Because we came here. Just like you. Mark felt his stomach twist. You came through the gate too? Elias nodded. We detected a beacon signal. Same as your ship. We followed it. The aliens captured us, tested us, and then sent me through the gate. Mark's voice tightened. What happened to your crew? Elias looked away. His jaw clenched. They didn't survive. Silence. Cold, heavy silence. Mark's fists tightened. The horizon, his crew, they could be next. Elias stepped closer. They sent you here for one reason, Mark. You carry something inside you. Something they've been waiting for. Mark exhaled sharply. This genetic code they keep talking about, what is it? Why do I have it? Elias pointed at the distant tower. That's why we're here. The answer is inside that place. Mark looked at the tower again. And what's inside it? Elias' face went pale. A weapon. Mark's heart dropped. A weapon. Not a bomb, Elias said quietly. Something worse. Something old. Something your DNA can control. Mark shook his head. Why me? Why humans? Elias breathed deeply. Humans weren't just created to explore, or survive, or fight wars. We were made for something bigger. Something dangerous. Mark stared. You're saying humans were designed? Yes, Elias whispered. By something that vanished long before the aliens ever existed. The ground trembled suddenly. Both men froze. The black stone cracked. Blue energy shot out from deep beneath the ground like a heartbeat waking up. The rivers of light brightened. The sky flickered. Elias stepped back. We need to move now. The world is waking up. Mark followed him quickly. What does that mean? Elias didn't answer. He only pointed toward the tower. The weapon is alive. And it knows you're here. Inside the tower. By the time they reached the tower, the world around them had changed. The sky had darkened. The ground pulsed like something beneath it was alive. The tower stood massive and silent. The entrance opened on its own as they approached. Inside, the walls glowed blue like veins of electricity. Strange floating platforms moved with slow, precise motion. Symbols rearranged themselves as if they were watching. Mark whispered, this place. It feels like it's reading me. It is, Elias said. This structure responds to DNA. It reacts to you because you carry the key. Mark stopped walking. Enough. Tell me what the key is. Elias turned slowly. His expression darkened. The key isn't just a gene, Mark. It's a command code. A biological password made by the ancient builders. Mark felt cold. A password for what? Elias pointed upward. For waking something that should never wake. The moment the words left his mouth, the entire tower rumbled. The walls lit up violently. A deafening hum filled the air. A voice echoed through the chamber, metallic, ancient, and impossibly powerful. Identity confirmed. Key holder detected. Mark's heart stopped. Elias whispered, "It's choosing you, Mark." The glowing platform in the center of the tower unfolded like a flower, revealing a circular seat. No, a control throne. Light poured from it. Energy ripped through the air. Wind swirled violently. The voice returned. Weapon system awakening. Awaiting human command. Mark took a step back in horror. Elias grabbed his arm. "Mark, whatever happens next, you must choose carefully. The gate didn't bring you here to die." Mark whispered, "Then what does it want?" Elias looked at him with fear. "Your command." A storm of blue energy swirled around Captain Mark Goodwin as the ancient tower shook like a living creature waking from a long sleep. The lights in the walls pulsed brighter and brighter, almost matching the frantic beating of Mark's heart. Elias Ward stood beside him, bracing himself against the violent wind. "Mark, listen to me. Whatever you do, don't sit on that throne." Mark stared at the glowing platform, the control seat glowing with pure energy. It looked like liquid light shaped into a chair. Every instinct in Mark's body screamed to stay away from it. "Then why is it calling me?" Mark shouted over the roar. "Because your DNA is the key." Elias answered. "You can wake the weapon completely, or shut it down forever." The ancient voice thundered again. "Key holder. Approach the core." Mark shook his head. "I'm not activating anything until I know what it does." Elias grabbed his shoulder. "The aliens, those silver-skinned Lefraxians, they want this weapon. They've been searching for it for centuries." Mark frowned. "Then why bring me here?" Elias hesitated. "Because you're the first human with the complete key gene. They need you to unlock the weapon for them." Mark's eyes widened. "So they tricked us? Led my ship here?" "Yes," Elias said quietly. "They hoped you would do what I refused to do." Mark stepped back from the glowing seat. "Then let's destroy this thing." But before Elias could respond, the entire tower shook again, this time with a deep, powerful thud from above, as if something enormous had landed on the roof. Elias' face went pale. "They found us. The Lefraxians arrived." A sharp, metallic screech echoed through the chamber. The ceiling split open, cracks racing across the structure like lightning. Blue energy sprayed from the fractures. Mark shielded his eyes. "What is that?" Elias pulled him behind a pillar. "The Lefraxian elites. They're not soldiers, they're hunters. They specialize in retrieving ancient technology." The ceiling shattered. A massive metallic pod dropped into the center of the chamber. It opened like a blooming flower, revealing 3 tall Lefraxians stepping out. These were not the same guards Mark had met earlier. These looked like warriors. Each one nearly 8 feet tall. Skin rippling like mercury. 6 glowing eyes scanning the room independently. Armor fused to their bodies. The leader stepped forward and spoke with a cold, flawless voice. "Human key holder. Surrender to the Dominion." Mark stepped out from behind the pillar. "Not gonna happen." The warrior turned all 6 eyes toward him. "Your DNA gives you access to the core weapon. Activate it now. Or we will activate it for you." Mark laughed a little. "I'm not turning on a doomsday device just because you asked nicely." The alien's membrane twitched. Humans continue to demonstrate irrational behavior. Elias whispered urgently, "Mark, they can't activate the core without you touching the throne." "So they need me alive," Mark said. "Exactly. Use that." The standoff. Mark stepped forward confidently. "Let me guess. You don't even know what this weapon actually does, do you?" The Lefraxian's eyes swiveled toward him. "The core weapon predates our civilization. It can bend reality. Turn entire star systems into..." Mark raised a hand. "You don't know. You're guessing." A second Lefraxian snapped its arm forward. A metal tentacle weapon cracked open like a whip, glowing with blue heat. "Activate the weapon, human." Mark held his ground. "Or what? You'll kill me? Then you'll never turn it on." For the first time, the Lefraxians hesitated. Good. He had their attention. He slowly walked toward the glowing throne. The alien stiffened, all weapons raised. Elias hissed. Mark, what are you doing? Trust me, Mark whispered. He stopped just before touching the throne. The ancient voice boomed. Key holder near. Awaiting command. Mark turned toward the aliens with a smirk. You want this thing so badly? Fine. Let me show you what happens when a human gets control. The aliens tensed, unsure if he was bluffing. Mark reached out, but then suddenly grabbed a floating energy conduit instead and yanked it out. The entire tower screamed. Lights flickered. The walls shook violently. Blue lightning cracked across the floor. The Lefraxians staggered. Elias stared in shock. Mark, what did you just do? Mark grinned. Pulled the battery. The core awakens. The ancient voice spoke again, but now it sounded weaker, distorted. Power. Interrupted. Key holder. System. Fail. The glowing throne dimmed. The Lefraxians panicked for the first time. You damaged the core, one shouted. Mark shrugged. Yep. The lead alien raised its weapon with fury. You endanger the universe. Mark stepped closer. And you want to control a weapon that can destroy universes? Sounds like you're the dangerous ones. Before the alien could respond, the tower shook brutally. A deep rumble rolled beneath their feet. Elias looked up in horror. Oh no. Mark, the core isn't shutting down. Mark blinked. Then what is it doing? Elias backed away. It's waking up faster. The ancient voice returned, louder than ever. Emergency protocol. Override engaged. Weapon awakening. Human key holder, prepare. Mark swallowed. Prepare for what? The floor opened beneath him. A column of blue energy shot upward and swallowed Mark whole. Elias screamed, Mark? The Lefraxian stumbled backward as Mark's body floated inside a vortex of light. His arms spread out. His eyes glowed white. The ancient voice thundered. Key holder linked. Neural synchronization active. Mark felt his mind expanding, stretching, connecting. He saw stars, galaxies, worlds rising and falling. A billion years of history unfolding before him. He was connected to the ancient builders, to their knowledge, to their weapon. And then, Mark felt the weapon ask him a question. A single command waiting. A choice. Human, do you seek to create or destroy? Mark gasped inside the vortex, barely able to think. The fate of entire galaxies now hung on one human decision. The metal door of the Lefraxian chamber opened with a quiet hiss, and Captain Mark Goodwin stepped inside. His hands were still bound, but the glowing restraints were weaker now. 2 alien guards stood on each side of the long corridor, but none of them looked directly at him. Their eyes stayed low, their bodies stiff with fear. Mark walked slowly, studying their behavior. Only hours ago, these same guards had dragged him through the halls, speaking proudly about the Lefraxian dominion. They had laughed at the small and fragile human. They had talked about processing him like he was an insect. Now, they stood frozen, like they were scared to breathe near him. The door at the end of the corridor opened into a large circular hall. Strange white lights floated in the air like glowing jellyfish. In the center stood the Lefraxian commander, tall, armored, and silent. Behind him stood several scientists, their 6 eyes blinking nervously as their digital tablets shook in their trembling hands. The commander raised one hand. Human. Captain Mark Goodwin, he said. His voice no longer carried power. It carried caution. We have reached a new decision. Mark stopped a few steps away. Oh? And what decision is that? He asked calmly. The commander swallowed, an odd movement for a creature with no neck. You are dangerous. Humans are dangerous. We cannot keep you. It is unsafe for us. Your species is unpredictable, uncontrollable, capable of acts beyond our understanding. Mark almost smiled. They believed every story, every metaphor, every video clip. The commander took a step back. You are free to go. All of you. We will release your crew, repair your starship, and escort you out of Dominion space. The scientists behind him nodded quickly, as if they feared the human might explode at any moment. Mark raised one eyebrow. You attacked our ship. You kidnapped my people. And now you're just letting us go? The room shifted with tension. Yes, they were letting him go, because they had no idea what humans could really do. Finally, the commander bowed his head, slowly, respectfully. We apologize. Deeply. Sincerely. We did not understand your species. We do not wish to provoke humans again. We offer peace, and we hope you accept. A small door opened behind them, and 2 guards brought in the missing Horizon crew. Their uniforms were ripped, their faces tired, but they were safe. When they saw Mark standing strong and unharmed, they rushed to his side. "Captain, what happened? How did you convince them?" Mark only winked. "Just told them the truth. A very dramatic version of it." The crew exchanged confused looks, but they trusted him. They always did. The return. The Horizon sat on a large landing platform, fresh metal plates, new power coils, and polished hull glowing under alien lights. The Lefraxians had repaired her completely. They even added new shield boosters as a gift of peace. As Mark and his crew walked toward the ship, hundreds of alien workers watched from a distance. No one approached. No one spoke. Some even bowed their heads, whispering strange words of respect. One young crew member whispered to Mark, "Sir, I think they're scared of us." Mark nodded. "Yes, very." Inside the Horizon, the ship hummed with new power. The crew quickly returned to their stations. Navigation online. Engines stable. Weapons charged. Shields upgraded. Everything felt better, stronger. "Captain," the pilot said, "we are clear to take off." "Good," Mark replied. "Let's go home." The Horizon lifted from the platform, engines blazing bright blue. As they rose into the sky, they saw something unexpected, an entire Lefraxian fleet forming a corridor in space, guiding them out like honored guests or dangerous gods. The message left behind. Before leaving, Mark sent a final transmission to the Lefraxian commander. A simple message. Clear. Calm. Human. "This is Captain Mark Goodwin of Earth. We accept peace. We do not seek war. But if you threaten us again, you won't face legends, stories, or actors. You'll face real humans. And trust me." He paused with a small smile. "You won't expect what happens next." The commander bowed deeply on the screen. "We understand. We will not forget." The transmission ended. The warning for Earth. As the Horizon entered hyperspace, the crew sat quietly. Everyone was trying to process what had happened. Finally, Mark spoke. "Listen up, everyone. The galaxy is bigger and stranger than we thought. And now, word will spread. The Lefraxians will tell others. Other species will watch us." The room went silent. "Some will fear us," Mark continued. "Some will challenge us. Some will test our limits." A nervous engineer asked, "So, what do we do?" Mark looked at the star-filled screen ahead. "We prepare. We learn. We grow stronger. Because this isn't the end of our story." He leaned back in his chair. "It's the beginning of something much bigger." The final whisper. Far behind them, on the Lefraxian command ship, the commander stood before his council. He whispered with genuine fear. "Thank the stars, we met Earth's weakest human." No one corrected him. And no one ever dared attack a human starship again.